Hello, chat. As you all know, I'm sure the reason why you're all here is because there's been a lot of Mercy mains who are not happy with Mercy. They don't find her fun anymore. They played her since she's been a character, since launch. And, so, they all evaluate this from a fun standpoint, how she is to play, impact on a game, how she feels to play. So, this this whole the whole movement with rework Mercy is quite an interesting one because it doesn't match a lot of what top players and competitive players say. So I wanted to talk to someone who had a lot of perspective on this issue, and I'm going to be talking to Aria Rose today, a very sort of divisive and controversial figure, and she's sort of been a pivotal character in the whole rework Mercy thing. So today, my main goal is to try and bridge the gap between what casuals want and what competitive players want. Because I feel like there are solutions that exist that can please everybody. Because there's two parties of people we need to please when you think about how to change characters. How the competitive community react to it and how it affects high level play. And, you know, casual players. Now, some of you may ask why care about casual players. Well, the truth is, casual players probably spend a lot more money on Overwatch on loot boxes and cosmetics and all that stuff, which makes Blizzard money. And Blizzard needs to make money for Overwatch to continue, and that includes its esports scene as well. So I'm not huge on the opinion that all casual players should be ignored. There's no reason we can't at least listen to them and listen to what they have to say and listen to their feelings. We can disagree with them, but we should at least hear them out. And for that reason, I've got Aria Rose with me today. So, let's get the show started. So,
Hello.
hi, how you doing?
I'm alright. How are you?
I'm fine. I'm fine. So, for the people watching, would you like to introduce yourself?
Um, sure. I'm Aria Rose. I make videos sometimes. I don't know. That's about it. No one special.
Right.
I really like Mercy, I guess.
I mean, yes. I mean, yeah. I figured that out at least. So I'm gonna bring up on my stream now a document I made with various Mercy stats and other things I've made for the stream, so you guys know what I'm talking about.
Okay, should I have made notes? I'm kind of scared.
Well, I wanted to know what I was talking about before like engaging in actual discussion about it, because it'd be dumb otherwise. So you're seen as like one of the prominent people in this rework Mercy movement. You started it. You basically started it, I believe.
Yeah, I did start it.
So
Basic.
so
Sorry,
why did you start it? What made you? What inspired you? What led to you?
So it's kind of funny because I just thought of it as an afterthought, because I've been making videos about Mercy just for the hell of it, because, I mean, my channel was just, it was my personal channel. So I started with just a rant video about Mercy. So I've been complaining about Mercy for a long time, just because it was my own personal rants. Sorry. And with the delete Bridget thing, I just thought, I really want to show people how to make a proper movement. So I asked my community if they thought it would be a good idea to try and do this. And they said, yeah, we should try it. And, you know, if it dwindles out, that's fine. But as long as it's, you know, as long as it's healthy and no one's at each other's throats, why not give it a shot? So I'm like, okay. So I make this video about, you know, making a hashtag rework Mercy and people just throwing in their thoughts, you know, their history with Mercy, what they like about her, what they don't like, you know, what they play, just basically anything. And people did, and I guess it just caught on, and I don't know. It seems to have caught on more than I thought it would.
Yeah, a lot of Overwatch YouTubers are making videos about this now. This whole talk came about from Overwatch Central's video where Ryan was talking about how other players, including myself, were reacting to the rework Mercy movement. I'm not gonna lie, my initial reaction was like, Mercy's never been that engaging, like super engaging. So I'm not too sure why there was suddenly a large movement for that. So I guess with the delete Brig movement, that largely caught on because there was a lot of no one in the competitive community liked Brig anyway, because she's been dominating it for the most part, and that's why they brought on the nerfs. And but saying delete a character, I think, was maybe not the most constructive way to go about it. So I think that whole delete Brig thing was a bit overkill. Like, they could have just named it Nerf Brig and it would have had the same effect, because they were never gonna delete Brig no matter how many people got involved with that. So
yeah, and like the reason why that provoked me to make the rework Mercy is just because, like, I had gotten so many comments and they were so negative, and I was like, if they had just named it to, you know, Nerf Brig or ideas for Brig or fix Brig or something, I feel like it would have had a much better impact and a much more constructive one. Whereas delete Brig, it was just really angry people, and I didn't like that because it was just looking through the hashtag, people were being attacked, and it was a mess. It was an absolute mess. But I understand the intention behind it. I understood that Brig was a problem, and I even said that in my videos, like, she does need something, but I think the execution just snowballed into this really bad thing.
I think, well, yeah, I don't think the people who made the hashtag delete Brig actually wanted it to be deleted. I considered it more of an expression for how much they just don't like this character, and they were trying to draw attention to just how bad the problem was for competitive players. And I feel like, in a way, this rework, I had a question for you. Do you think that the rework Mercy movement necessarily doesn't want a full rework of Mercy, but rather just draw attention to how Mercy is? And I'm sure a lot of Mercy mains, including yourself, would be happy if Mercy was changed in small but meaningful ways that make her more engaging and fun to play, right?
That's exactly it, yeah.
So you're not advocating for like a full-on rework, like give her the Torb treatment or the Sim treatment, even though you'd probably be fine with that, but it's not the only solution.
Yeah, it's the thing is, okay, it's a bit of a long history because I've been on the forums for a really long time after Mercy was reworked, and I was very pro mass res. Like, that was the only thing I wanted because, again, that's kind of what I started with, right? And then people started kind of opening my eyes to how mass res did have a lot of problems. So instead of saying revert, like when people would talk about mass res, they'd say, well, rework it, make it a little bit different, you know, add line of sight, add a cast time. And so when I say rework, I want it to be a bit of a more broader term, where it could be just tweaks to Valkyrie, it could be tweaks to Mass Res, it could be a completely different idea. I just want to open that sort of gateway to all sorts of different ideas, not just, you know, one or the other, because that, I mean, I think there are a lot of ways to fix Mercy. I don't think it's do or die, you know, you have to have Mass Res, you have to have Valkyrie. I think there are a lot of things that can be fixed. I understand that was Delete Briggs' idea as well, was to get a broader idea, but I feel like, again, it was the execution of it that just caused a lot of problems. So I do understand it. It's just, like, I've personally seen that it went a bad route.
One thing I want to make clear as well to the viewers is that you're not concerned with how viable Mercy is at pro level, right? You don't really care how much pros play Mercy or not. Like, you don't care how much Mercy gets picked in Overwatch League, for example.
It's always an afterthought, but for me, the engagement of a hero is what comes first, and I feel like, of course, you don't want a hero to be overpowered and overwhelming. Like, that's something you should definitely avoid.
Yeah, this is a phase we had with Mercy when she was overpowered.
Yeah, exactly, and that's why I do understand the nerfs. I absolutely understand them, but I think they just kind of threw them at her without thinking about how they could have kind of tweaked things, moved things around, and, you know, fixed her. The balance is important, but I really do think engagement and fun should come first, and then, you know, kind of, if she's overpowered, bring her down. If she's underpowered, kind of try to figure that out. But like, if Mercy is a niche pick, if she's underpowered but she has engaging abilities, that's fine. Like, it's not primarily about balance.
Yeah.
Right now she's balanced, but a lot of people still have a problem with her.
Yeah. So, well, I'm glad. See, I feel like a lot of people may misunderstand you as thinking you need Mercy to be buffed to be powerful, like to be overpowered. I feel like a lot of people might misconstrue your points as wanting to make Mercy OP again, because a lot of people say that Mercy mains just wanted to be overpowered again, like she was.
Yeah, I get that a lot, and it's like when I say we, I mean like people who agree with me, or like at least agree with that portion of we don't want her OP. We try to tell people it's not about being overpowered. I can see why they would say that. Like, yes, a hero being overpowered is fun to an extent, but that's not the point. Like, Mass Res was underpowered before Invulnerability, but the reason why it was fun was because it had such an impact. And I think we can get to that impact without it being, you know, uncounterable or too Moth meta extent. Like, I think we can find a balance, but we need to be able to talk to each other and not keep throwing these accusations around, you know? And that's kind of what I'm hoping for this movement, is that people can talk to each other.
Yeah, so I agree with you that Mercy is balanced, and I think a lot of pro players agree right now. A lot of top tier Mercy players say that she could use some minor buffs. So if they're going to make minor changes to her, minor buffs to her, I feel like they should use those changes to try and make something engaging out of it to please the people who don't find it fun right now, because I feel like in Overwatch it's so split into two bases. You have competitive players and casual players, and the problem is that it's difficult to please both. Very difficult to please both.
Yeah,
at the same time.
So it is. I feel like I don't know, it's the lack of communication that seems like they're not even trying, and I think that's also why this hashtag has spread so much, because a lot of people have been upset since Mass Res was gone, and it just seems like they're constantly ignoring us. Considering there's been so much feedback since the PTR release. Like, people have been asking for a revert since the PTR of Valkyrie. Like, if you go to the actual thread, and I think that's why people are just getting upset.
Yeah, I know. EVA was complaining about Mercy for the longest time, even when she was OP and she was underpowered and so on. Like, just fundamentally, I think Mercy players are the people who want a rework. They don't like the way she plays now, because there's not a satisfaction to Valkyrie as there is to Mass Res, and I think that's why this all started. It's the main point is the fact. I think the main point for most Mercy players, including yourself, is that is that Res got moved to be an E ability and Valkyrie was introduced. So that's like those are like the two main things that most Mercy mains don't like.
And it's. I mean, I'm firmly a believer that E-Res is just a mistake. A lot of people don't like that you're just handed res. Like, half of the fun of mass res was working to get it. Because when people work to get a reward, even in a video game, it feels like you're, accomplishing something. Whereas E-Res is, well, you're handed it to you. I mean, it's really blah,
Yeah, I mean,
and like you can't buff it because it's E. It's on a like stagnant cooldown. You can't buff E-Res. So it's just kind of there.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I think the problem here is that you're talking about fun and engagement because that's your focus. So it wouldn't be wrong to say you're a casual player, right? You don't take Overwatch super seriously. Would be
Yeah.
Okay, so that comes from the standpoint of someone who's playing for fun. So from a competitive standpoint, moving Resurrect to E made Res more balanced than it's probably ever been. So it's probably even, and most people don't like Res as a concept. A lot of people think Res should just not exist, but because it's so important to Mercy's identity, Blizzard are never going to never going to remove it.
Yeah, the thing is, like Jeff said in an article that he would hate to have to get to that point. But I feel like if it's gonna be this sort of thing that pulls Mercy down, I feel like it should be removed. And it, like, I used to be very like, you cannot get rid of Res, like that is Mercy. But when it comes to it just being this lackluster, I think you could do a lot more. Like there are original ideas for Mercy's kit that don't have Resurrect included, and I think they would be a lot more fun, and I think people wouldn't have that stigma of, well, you're bringing people back and that's not fair, which I do disagree with. I think Resurrect is fine, but I think you could do a lot more without Resurrect at this point.
Well, personally, from my perspective and experiences playing this, I think Resurrect is a fun ability because it involves decision making. You have to sacrifice your healing to get the res off. You have to be in the right position to actually get her off so you don't get punished for it. So it feels satisfying to get a res off now than it used to in the past when it was like instant and when you had two of them in Valkyrie as well. So I feel like the satisfaction of Resurrection from the Mass Res days is still there for me in some capacity, because now when I get a res off, it feels meaningful, like I've earned it and I've managed to play correctly to get her off, because you can easily do a bad res and just die and feed, and that, for me as a competitive player, that's the fun part of it for me, is being able to play and play around the other team and get something off that's usually is difficult to. So
I think for me it's just like Mercy has such a fluid playstyle, and when you stop to res, it breaks that feeling, and the position itself relies on where the person died and the enemy team not guarding the body. So it's not, to me, it's not your positioning, it's how bad the enemy team is. And like, I don't know, it doesn't feel like I'm the one really doing anything. Like, I get there is decision making, but to me it just doesn't feel rewarding.
I think, well, it's from competitive players usually are playing to win because they like winning. They like beating other people. That's like the fundamental drive of competitive players. They play to win. They want to, because when they win, they feel like they're skilled. They feel like they outplayed the other team, and that shows in the current design of Resurrect. When you get a res off, like a difficult res off, you feel like you outplayed the other team and you made the right choice at the right time, and it rewards a competitive player because they made the right choice and got rewarded for making the right choice. That's why a lot of people in the competitive scene think res is fine as it is, being an E ability, and I think, and this is the thing, casual players aren't so concerned about that. They want it to feel fun, and that is where the riff lies with res. And I have read up on some ideas about how people want to change Mercy. Like, they want res to be earned on like a resource, like the Torb armor stuff. Or having, and then you have a different E ability, like I think some of the ideas I had were like a cleanse ability and like a temporary immunity to like KO's ultimate from League kind of ability. But my problems with that is that I don't think Blizzard will do that because they removed Torb's armor completely. So I don't think they're really keen on having characters play a mini game inside the real actual game of Overwatch. And I feel like those two abilities that have been suggested in Resurrection's place are like, well, Intervention in League of Legends is an ultimate. It's really powerful. It's a powerful ability, and I don't think that should be a regular ability. And there's not enough debuffs in this game, I feel like, to warrant like a cleanse ability. Like, off the top of my head, there's Anti-Nade, Dynamite, Venom Mine. I don't know if I'm missing anything hugely important, but those are like the main three, like, debuffs. But I feel like that cleanse ability would be largely useless for most games.
So, for me, two of my favorites would be like kind of replacing res with a mini Zillion ult. So, you know, like if someone's about to die or you think they're about to die, you throw on this sort of ability and maybe it'll, if they do die, they resurrect. So you kind of have to preemptively.
That's like Zillion's Guardian Angel from League then. Yeah, I like that idea because I remember I heard that idea tossed around when they were thinking about changing Mercy. I personally liked that idea.
Yeah, and it wouldn't cut off Mercy's flow at all. And you'd have to also think, you know, you kind of have to read them a bit and read what's going on in the match. That one, and I do like the Halo idea. It's very similar to Grenade, but let's say Mercy keeps 50 heals. Give her kind of an ability where she throws a Halo on someone and they take more healing by you. So let's say it ups them to like 60 or 65. And I feel like it is very similar to Grenade, but it's kind of a neat idea. I don't know. It's something, but like again, there's so many interesting ideas, and
I'd be here for hours if I was trying to talk about all the different ideas. Like there was a forum post that was made by like Titanium that was literally like a university essay.
40 minutes. Yeah, it's like 40 minutes.
I personally I don't have the time to go through all that, and so where do we go? Where do we go from here? I feel like one point I wanted to get across is that making stuff more fun and reworking stuff a lot increases the volatility of a game and makes it more unstable competitively, and that can hurt the competitive scene a lot. So like if they did suddenly just drop a rework on Mercy, all the people in the rework Mercy movement would be like, yay, but then like the competitive scene would be shook up really bad because it will totally change everything, and that volatility is like not healthy for a competitive scene. Like, but see, I think the most stable competitive game I can think of is like Melee or something, because Melee hasn't changed for decades. It's been the same game, and yet it still evolves and has a really healthy competitive scene. And I think that's a good standard for competitive games in general, is that I'm personally of the opinion that they shouldn't change stuff drastically all the time, because that just increases a lot of fertility and makes the competitive scene a bit unstable, with teams going up and down in skill and ability just because of patches and rapid meta changes. I feel like for a lot of competitive players, that's frustrating when everything is changing on you all the time. It might be fun for casual players, but it's not fun for competitive players.
To be fair, though, we were pushed this rework and we had to adapt so many times. Like, I understand what you're saying, but considering people have been just on this rework and upset for, it's been over a year now. Like, that's, again, Overwatch was marketed for everyone, not just competitive. It was marketed, I mean, you go to the tutorial, I believe it says, ultimates are game-changing. I don't feel like Valkyrie is game-changing, and to me that upsets me as a casual player, because this doesn't feel like my game anymore. It feels like this game is solely for the pros. I think a lot of people feel that way too. I feel like
there are parallels between Valkyrie and Mass Res. Mass Res, to get a good one, required a setup. Your team needed to all die on point. You needed to be hiding in a place where no one would find you, and then you could get in there and get a res. Or you could play it with tempo res and play it differently. But generally, the most common way people did it was the hide and seek mass res. And this required your team to set her up properly. And if your team didn't do that, then it wasn't impactful.
See,
And
that's
Valkyrie's the same. I feel like
yeah.
Valkyrie is the exact same, because if your team all groups up, they all get 60 heals per second. They all get 30% damage buff, and that's pretty significant. That is very significant, and it's basically the same kind of thing. Like Valkyrie can be impactful if your team actually utilizes it, but if they don't, then it can feel very unrewarding. But the same is true with mass res. So I'm not entirely sure going back to mass res will make everything suddenly better. I know that it was very satisfying to get a mass res off, but it required similar execution and team coordination to getting the max value from Valkyrie did.
I don't know. At least Mass Res felt like you were the one doing something. Valkyrie, for a lot of people, again, this kind of comes into what your rank is, right? Because, like, personally, when I use Valk, it's just I'm enabling them. I'm like, yes, it's impactful to the game, but you don't feel like you're doing something. You feel like you're just sitting there doing the same thing that you were doing a minute ago. Whereas mass res, I'm not going to get into the whole hide and res thing. Everyone knows my stance on it. I don't believe it was as common as people think, and I believe tempo reses, as we've seen with Moth Meta, are much stronger and were much more common. But with mass res, you felt like you did something. You got these big moments. You had people thanking you, and that is what casual players really love. They love feeling. It's like when an Ana hits a sleep dart. You feel it, and other people see it. But Valk, you don't. It's not engaging. You float there, and it's just
I
I
mean,
don't see it as fun.
Valkyrie, yeah, I mean, when Valkyrie was introduced, it was very impactful because it had double instant res, and I'm sure people enjoyed it then, but because it was too powerful, it got scaled back to what it is now, and now it doesn't feel as strong. So I feel like so my personal thoughts on how to change Valkyrie to make it impactful and reward engagement is my ideas were, well, Res is the only ability that doesn't get buffed by Valkyrie right now, so I'm thinking one instant Res and Valkyrie would make it feel a bit more powerful, while not, I don't think it'd be totally game breaking. And the second thing is that here, the main target, she's healing, and Valkyrie gets more healing, so like 70, and the rest, the beams that chain to people, is like 40. So you have to prioritize targets properly, and it rewards you for actually healing the right person at the right time, rather than just sitting there like holding M1 on the closest cluster of people. I think those two changes that aren't super massive, but would make Mercy a lot more engaging for casual players, while not breaking it in a competitive scene. And I feel like
Absolutely.
those are the changes that I'd like to see, that I think could make a lot of people happier, while still keeping things relatively the same in the competitive environments.
So that's the thing too, is like I completely agree with that. I think Valkyrie, because again, I'm not the type to get tied down by one idea. I think Valkyrie could be tweaked absolutely. I think the idea of, like, for me, I would remove chain beams altogether because I really like beam juggling. I would say to up her healing in Valkyrie and have to juggle, and you would feel much more impactful that way because you are actually putting out that healing and you're deciding who to save instead of just like, here's chain beams.
Yeah, I think that's not a terrible idea, to be honest. But they basically got the Valkyrie idea from like the alpha when they were like making it
Yeah,
in alpha.
yeah.
So they basically just recycled an idea they had from alpha that they already made. So that's how we ended up with Valkyrie. They just recycled
Yeah.
something from the alpha of Overwatch.
And the problem with instant res is that a lot of people complain about instant res not being counterable. So personally, I think you would have to have at least like a 0.5 second cast time, so maybe she can be stunned or hacked or something like that. I personally would love having just one or the other. So let's say Valkyrie only lasts 5 seconds, but you have 3 reses at a 0.5 second cooldown. or something like that. Or again, if you just have the one solo beam, but it's a very strong beam, I think those two things are better. But having the problem with Valkyrie is it's so long that it's so diluted because it's what like it's got, you know, the chain beams. It's got like I don't think you can pack that much into it. But I think focusing on one thing would be better.
I'm not strictly opposed to making Valkyrie shorter but more powerful, but I don't think giving a free reses, like in that short amount of time is the way forward. I think if that idea was implemented right now, we'd be back to the Moth meta all over again. I think that's a bit too much. I don't think Mercy having more than one resurrect is really healthy for competitive play at all. Might feel powerful for casual players, but it would really damage the competitive scene. She'd be meta all over it again.
I have to also mention that E-Res for me would be completely removed. Like, Res in itself would be completely tied to ult. So it would be literally 5 seconds, no free flight, you have to GA and have that cast time.
I was going to talk about Guardian Angel while you were here, because I feel like there's a lot of that ability is what enables a lot of Mercy's more complicated mechanics, and just figuring those out can be very rewarding, since you can move in so many different ways and basically evade everyone and basically outsmart and evade people, and that's a very satisfying feeling. And I feel like that's something that's not very appreciated by casual players. They don't appreciate the full depth of Mercy's mechanics with Guardian Angel.
I definitely have to disagree there. Again, like with this hashtag rework Mercy thing, and even just talking to people on the forums, people love Guardian Angel. I know it's not really talked about, but I feel like it's because there's nothing negative to say. I feel like a lot of people really love GA, and like no one wants to change it. I can tell you that. From like I've gotten 100 submissions, everyone loves GA, and I think it's just, again, no one really wants to talk about it because it's not negative. Everyone loves it.
I feel like it's definitely the most engaging and fun part of Mercy. The reason I enjoy Mercy so much personally is because of Guardian Angel. Flying around and just evading people and being you know, elusive, I think is like the funnest part of Mercy for me. And I feel like in Valkyrie that's amplified because you can fly in a lot more complicated ways because you can hover, and yeah, it makes Guardian Angel a lot more fun, and the range is increased. Like the Guardian Angel techniques are so much fun.
Yeah, no, Guardian Angel is fantastic, and I think also a lot of people don't really realize just how like weaving in and out of a team, like it's not mechanically challenging, but it's fun because you have to think, well, which teammate do I have to go to now? You know, it's kind of like a little mind game you have to play, and it is really fun.
When you say it's not mechanically challenging, that's not entirely true, because to do certain things like super jumping, I still can't super jump with Mercy. I literally just can't. So
watching like Hoshizora do his super jumps, and it's so great to watch. I'm just like, how do you do it so often?
So yeah, I feel like that's usually what I say to people when they claim Mercy is like super easy. Like she really isn't, especially at a high level. Like especially at like in Overwatch League. Playing Mercy in Overwatch League is probably one of the hardest jobs ever, because everyone knows what they're doing and it's to kill you. That's their job. And being able to shine with Mercy in that environment is really powerful. And another impactful part of Valkyrie I feel like gets underlooked is actually Mercy's pistol, because do you know the Overwatch League player Neptuno? Have you ever heard of him?
Yeah, I have heard of him.
Yeah, Neptuno makes huge like game-changing plays with Valkyrie just by pistoling people and being really good with pistol. And I feel like that's another maybe underappreciated part of Mercy.
Yeah, I read an article from him about how Mercy is actually really difficult. I remember that was circling around for a while. But yeah, and pistol again is another thing that people don't really talk about, because it hasn't really been changed. Like that in GA, besides, you know, the bunny hop, people love them and they haven't been touched, and I hope they never get touched. But yeah, I would say those are the two things that I like too, that Mercy still has. Like I'm still very like Valkyrie, I don't like it. E-Res, I don't. It's just, that's my opinion. I don't find them impactful, but pistoling, like I love Battle Mercy, and I know that's very controversial, at least to the casual scene. Like you don't pull out your pistol, like that is you will get flamed in chat.
Yeah, that's quite a common thing with casual players, is that
Yeah.
they don't realize like how effective pistol is if you're a good Mercy. So
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, I think that shouldn't. As long you just have to be smart about it. Obviously, there's always a time and there's always a time and a place, and that's one of
Mm-hmm.
the complexities of Mercy, is recognizing when it's good to go for and when it's not good to go for. So I feel
Mm-hmm.
like
Yeah.
so I don't know that all these complexities I've talked about with the Guardian Angel techniques, with the decision making with pistoling and all that. I feel like that's engaging enough for me as a player. That's very engaging for me, and I don't find it very boring at all. But this is just how I feel. That's just my opinion. It's I think when you and the other Mercy mains probably have played way more hours of Mercy than me. Like probably hundreds of hours more than me. So it's easy. I think. Do you think that plays a part in it? That you think maybe it might be burnout from just how much changes Mercy have had to go through and how much you've had to adapt, and you've just sort of gotten tired of it by the end.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, it all comes down to just opinion and perspective. And like I'm really glad I got to talk to you because it's there's been so much tension between the two sides that I think it's just unnecessary. Like it's not, you either love or you hate her. It's you can kind of have more thought process than that. And people are just they get so angry and they just don't discuss properly, and it's kind of upsetting to see. But it is nice to hear different perspectives on things and actually be able to talk.
But, but hold on, I didn't feel like you really answered the question. My question there. Do you think that the amount of time you and other Mercy mates have put into it, playing it casually, like hundreds of hours, do you think that influences your feelings to why you want Mercy to be changed?
um I think it could because again, yeah, we did go through a lot of changes and feeling like the thing is, I don't know because I've had people who only played from Valkyrie want Mass Res, or I've had people from Mass Res not want Mass Res back. So it kind of just depends on the person. Like for me personally, I think yes to an extent, but like though I did like Valkyrie when it came out for how I loved the fluidity of it and stuff. I still hated it more than Mass Res. I was not happy with the rework. It was fun when she was OP because there's always going to be that fun in being overpowered, but I still wanted my Mass Res back. I wanted that feeling of wow, and I did that, and Valkyrie just, and then with the nerfs, it just, I don't know. I honestly don't know. I think it could kind of affect it, but I don't think it affects it that much. And again, it's person to person. It really depends on the person themselves.
Yeah, I mean, I could play Zenyatta for like 20 years and I probably wouldn't get bored of him. So
Like as you said, like I still play Mercy for her guardian angel. Like I'll still play her even though I have this bitterness towards her. And it also something people don't talk about a lot is that the character, right? A lot of people will play video games and get attached to a character and then play them no matter what. Like I've had comments say, even if Mercy is the most terrible thing ever, I will still play her because I love her. And it's something that's not really talked about in competitive games, but some people do just play a character because they like that character. They like their backstory. They like what they look like. And that is exactly why I like Mercy so much too, is not only because of her GA and her pistol and the fact she's a healer, is that she's an angel, and I love that about her. So that's another thing to kind of consider, I guess. It's the same with Anna. I love her character. I'm terrible at her. She's not really my thing 'cause I don't like DPS. I've never been an FPS central person, but I love her character. So I'll try her out every now and then. I'll try to be good at her and fail miserably, but yeah.
right. So where are we? where do we go from here then?
I don't know.
I feel like I obviously I'm not. I doubt I'm going to compel you to completely change your mind. I don't think that's I don't think that's I don't think that's really that wasn't really my goal, to be honest. It was more I just wanted to understand where you came from with your entire movement, with your entire rework racing movement, and try and offer you my perspective as someone who plays the game very competitively. And obviously it's obviously after playing a character you enjoyed for so long, it's gonna be, I understand it'd probably be difficult for you to adapt and just suddenly go play someone else, especially if they're like an hero that takes a lot of aim and you're not particularly good at it per se.
Well, the thing is, like, we get hit with that question a lot too, and it's like, I do play other heroes. I've been a diva main since launch, but it doesn't mean that it feels good, you know, that you can't ever return to that hero that you really like. Because again, I like Mercy as a character. I do play other heroes. I do play Moira, I do play Junkrat, Soldier, Diva, Anna, like Zenyatta. I play all these characters, and we have adapted. It's just, it sucks to see a character that you really like and not have fun with them anymore.
Yeah, I understand. I think I understand that. When Anna was one of my favorite characters in Overwatch, and I wasn't able to play her for a very long time because she just was complete. She wasn't good at all. Mercy was just a lot better, and now we've sort of ended up in the reverse right now, where Anna's often picked more than Mercy. But I feel like with how powerful Anna can be, I feel like at a high level, I feel like Anna's always going to be favoured over Mercy, because Anna, if you hit shots, Anna can just do more healing and has more utility with sleep and anti-nade. But I feel like Mercy's always going to be a situational hero at a high level, and I feel like that's okay. I feel like that's fine. She has her uses, and that's how it should be. Every character in the game should have the uses.
Yeah, and I agree with that. I think it's good that heroes have, like, I like that they have their specific niches. It's just, let's say you pick up Anna and you just don't find her fun anymore. It's like, again, you come from a pro level where, you know, you have to play what's good, but at least now you could pick up Anna and still have fun and still hit those sleep darts, whereas Mercy's been changed so much that a lot of us don't feel like we're having fun. Like, even if she were strong, I mean, we've had people complaining since Moth meta when she was broken, so it comes down to a little bit more than that. But yeah, absolutely, like Anna, I mean, I've always loved Anna. I've never been really good at her, but I absolutely understand what you guys went through when she was just kind of gutted for a little while. Like, she got some pretty stupid, well, no, I shouldn't say stupid nerfs, but I still miss the super crazy Beyblade Reinhardt speed boost meta.
Yeah, I played during that meta. That's the first season I played. That's the first season I played. So yeah, playing Anna in that meta was alright. I also played Reaper in that meta. That was a very fun time. But Mercy wasn't very good back then. Like,
no, she wasn't.
I feel like I feel like they've made Mercy more viable competitively than she ever was pre-Valkyrie, and I feel like that's good. Like, and I feel like that's good, and yeah, I think
that's again where the rift comes in, right? She is definitely in a better spot where she's usable, but again, a lot of people just don't like the way she feels anymore.
Well,
so
I feel like it's not totally wrong for Blizzard to focus on balancing for high levels, because the Overwatch League is a big money generator for Overwatch and for Blizzard in general. So it's all business. It's all business at the end of the day. To be honest, it's all business. So because Overwatch League is very profitable right now, getting, you know, investors in, they're getting so much money into that. So obviously they want the players to be happy, and they want a competitive game that people can watch and enjoy. Because if it's a stale meta, no one will watch it, and then they'll lose money, and players will complain about it, and that's why they are focusing on balancing for the highest level.
And I think that's like kind of where people are upset too, because it makes sense from a business standpoint to go towards the pros and esports and all that, because it makes the most money. But I think a lot of people joined Overwatch because it was such an inclusive and different game to most competitive and free, like certain
Yeah,
FPS
Overwatch
games.
isn't a traditional FPS, and in any, I
Yeah.
don't feel like Overwatch is a traditional FPS in any capacity. To be honest, like,
hmm
and I think that's one of the appeals of it. To be honest, and you don't need
Yeah.
insane aim to be like a good player, like at tanks, for example. Like with Reinhardt, you don't need mad aim. You just need to have a good game sense and good positioning and good reading of enemy players as well. So I feel like characters like that do have the place in the game, but a lot of people care a lot about the FPS elements of it, and that's
Yeah.
why people complained about Brig as well, because with Brig you don't really have to aim.
Yeah, and it's I don't know, because I feel like a lot of those casual players have left, like just seeing like all my friends left Overwatch for like um and it is really hard to balance for everything. But if you're gonna make a game and market it for everyone and do all this, like you're bound to get people like upset when you start leaning towards one side, right? And it is hard, but again, like I don't want this movement to spread hatred. I definitely don't want it to do that. I just want to get our thoughts out there, and whatever happens happens in the end. If nothing happens, well, at least we got our thoughts out there, right? And at least people are discussing. Like I see a lot of people who never really spoken before talking to each other now, and I think that's really great.
So so yeah, it's an interesting discussion because while I don't really agree with changing Mercy in this way because of the way it impacted the competitive scene, I just hope I've been able to sort of help you understand where competitive players and ranked players are coming from. Because I'm
Yeah.
sure, obviously, you've gotten a lot of hate because of your views and how you want Mercy to be changed, and that's not entirely constructive. And that's sort of ultimately it's all coming from the same place. These competitive players just don't want Mercy to be re-raked and end up sort of broken again. That's a lot. That's why people want her to just stay as she is, because she's fine now in competitive, so
Yeah.
they don't see why she needs to be changed.
Yeah, and I understand that. Like again, it's a very different view of what the game is, and it's I don't know. It's hard. It's very hard to balance for both sides. And like I've had people say they just don't want to learn Mercy again, and
I
there's
mean, there are
this
Mercy mains who
stigma.
enjoy playing it even now. To be fair, there are
Oh
Mercy
yeah,
mains, and
absolutely. I mean, again, it really depends on the people. Of course, there's going to be some that like her and some that don't. Um, but yeah, it's
because
I don't know.
to be fair, I brought a bunch of statistics from competitive play on like pick rates, win rates, and I think I think I think it doesn't. I bring it up, but it's like it's all kind of it's almost meaningless because it doesn't really matter to like casual players,
Yeah,
like how much she's winning, how much she's picked in like Grandmaster. So
yeah,
I feel like ultimately what you will have to accept, and a lot of the people in the movement will have to accept, is that the best you'll probably get with making Mercy more engaging and fun again is probably some minor buffs. Like they might revert the 60 to 50 heal per second nerf. They might make Valk a bit stronger to make it more interesting, but I don't think a full on rework is going to happen. And
I mean,
from what they've talked about in dev interviews, they don't seem to be giving Mercy any focus now. It's like they've just put her on the shelf and they're done with it for now.
oh yeah. I mean, we've had this song and dance for a year now, where they like Tom Powers posting, "We're listening to your feedback" for over a year, and then clearly they don't, because again, over the year we've gotten nothing, like no addressing our concerns. I don't know if we're going to get anything. Like that's not the point of the movement. Like I fully, like I'm ready to get absolutely nothing out of this, but at least you know, again, it's about me putting my thoughts out there, and it's about everyone who's upset putting their thoughts out there. And again, like, we've been ignored for over a year. If we get it ignored for another year, it's not going to be any skin off my teeth.
Yeah, I mean, I think ultimately the conclusion to all this is that it's two very different groups of people that want something different in the game, and there's never going and ultimately ultimately we have to compromise. There has to be compromise, because casual players keep the game alive by spending money. They make money for Blizzard, and competitive players keep the esports scene alive, keep the Overwatch League going, and all that stuff. So ultimately, I feel like the best solution, I feel like the most realistic thing that might come of this is that she might get some minor buffs, and it's pretty brave of you to put your thoughts out there when, like, a lot of people don't agree with you. I probably wouldn't be able to handle the amount of crap you've gotten, to be honest.
Yeah, the internet's a wild place when you put your opinion out there.
So,
yeah, but I appreciate that.
So, I guess we're about to hit like an hour, so I think we can start wrapping. I think we can start like wrapping this up. But do you have any closing thoughts or anything you want to say?
Not really. Just, you know, for people to be okay with putting their opinions out there and just to discuss things like you and I have right now. We have very different opinions, but things were like, this is a discussion that I really enjoyed having, and it would be nice if there wasn't this big, you know, weird rift between pros and casuals where we feel like we can't talk to each other. I feel like it would be nice.
Yeah, I feel like nothing will ever get solved, and there'll be no consensus as long as people don't actually try to discuss and interact with each other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that's definitely a good closing note, is just to be respectful and to be okay with discussing with each other.
Right, well, thanks a lot for being willing to come on and talk to me, because I know you probably had your reservations when I made the invitation, because you said you had something like this go pretty horribly wrong.
Yeah. there's been a few instances where, you know, someone wants to discuss with me and then I find out they're throwing some pretty bad hate towards me, and I'm like, but yeah, I'm glad we got to talk like this.
So I guess in the end, as long as Mercy gets changed in some positive way, it'll feel you would have felt like you've accomplished the goals of your movement, right?
I mean, I feel like I've accomplished it already. Like, just having people talking, having people put their thoughts out there, I think it's really great to see people open up like that. So, I mean, whether or not we do anything or they even change Mercy, I feel like it's been a really positive thing.
Well, yeah, people have been talking about it and people making videos on it, so I guess you have accomplished what you set out to do, so
yeah.
Can't fault you there. You did what you wanted, and thanks for talking to me, and this was a pretty fun thing. I should do more things like this with other people, to be honest.
Yeah,
I feel like this is a good format.
I'll definitely follow your Twitch, and I'd really like to see that. Definitely.
Alright. Well, you too. Take care. Thank you.
You too. Bye.
Bye. Alright, chat. So, in conclusion, they just want to have fun. That's all I can really gather from it. They just want Mercy to be changed, that makes it fun. But the problem is that it damages the competitive integrity of the game, so, nah. I wasn't ever gonna change her mind, but I just hope she understands the perspectives of where us as a competitive community are coming from, and why changing Mercy like that is not good, and why she's in a good place where she is now. So, I think that was a really good talk. And I should do more talks like this with other people. Maybe I should reach out to some other people and have some more discussions. You think I did a good job? Yeah, I mean, I didn't. I think I made some. I think I misspoke a bit at some points, but I think that went pretty well otherwise. And at the end of the day, she's just a person with like her own opinion. So it's not. I wasn't ever gonna change her mind, but she already feels like she's accomplished her goals with people talking about this. So yeah, I don't think I don't think we need to worry about Mercy getting mass reworked and everything going wild. So yeah, I think we're done. I think we're done for tonight, lads. So thanks everyone who came by and watched. I really appreciated it.